All right, well, we'll see if I'm able to successfully advance slides or not. Hello, everybody. It's nice to be with you virtually. I missed the good old days. I would much rather be driving up to lovely Upper Peninsula to buy you folks lunch for this fine workshop, but you're gonna have to suffer with the virtual version today. Just a quick update on the Forest Stewardship Program and Forest for Fish and School Forest and some other fun stuff. Matt told me that he's got a good group today of loggers and foresters and maybe a couple of landowners. So let's see if I can give you a 10-minute update on something that may be of interest to you. All right, so this slide here is my model for how I try to deliver the Forest Stewardship Program. Basically, I see my job as asking the federal government for money and trying to invest it in the private sector while skimming off as little as possible at the state level here. And I enjoy working with the private sector, a lot of foresters, writing management plans, and then some other fun projects, doing a variety of things. We've got 5 priorities for the Forest Stewardship Program: accessible markets, certified forests, clean water, school forests, and educated and empowered landowners. And before I jump into those 5 different priorities, I want to take one slide and kind of look at the left-hand side of this model here, working with non-government organizations, nonprofit organizations that do a variety of things here in the state of Michigan. Involving forest land. And I didn't really mean it as such, but that's an easy shout out for the Society of American Foresters webinar that's going to be happening this Thursday morning. If you want to learn more about how nonprofits manage and influence forests here in Michigan, we've got a 4-hour webinar this Thursday, and Matt can send you the registration information for that if you're looking for more online continuing education opportunities. But one thing that I'm really interested in focusing on this year is really trying to engage with the 30 or more land conservancies here in Michigan that own forest land and then also have lots of conservation easements with hundreds of other private landowners to permanently protect those lands from land use change. And I'm very interested in engaging with these land conservancies and helping them be successful with their land management goals. Now, granted, most land conservancies are looking at ecological restoration and not necessarily sending wood to the mill, but there are a lot of land conservancies that do both of those activities, ecological restoration and using commercial timber harvest to accomplish that. So I'm really trying to connect with land conservancies and get them excited about the full range of forest management options that are available to them here in Michigan. And I think that certification is a great framework for engaging with land conservancies. So actually Friday afternoon, I'm hosting a little webinar with Heart of the Lakes and a bunch of land conservancies to talk about forest certification. And I like all 3 forest certification programs. SFI does great work training 1,500 loggers. FSC is a nice standard. And then Tree Farm, the American Tree Farm System is a great program for family forest landowners. And I'm interested in connecting with land conservancies and getting them excited about certification. But for certification to work, they've got to have good natural resource professionals to work with, both foresters and loggers. And when it comes to foresters, I'm going to be recommending that land conservancies work with members of the Association of Consulting Foresters as the forester that has excellent credentials for helping them be successful with their land management goals. The Forest Stewards Guild has only 17 members here in Michigan. I'd be interested in seeing the guild grow. I think that the Forest Stewards Guild has a management philosophy very much in alignment with land conservancies, but there's just not many Forest Stewards guild members in Michigan, and of the 17 members, only 2 of them are consulting foresters available for hire. When it comes to loggers, there's a lot of great loggers in Michigan. I'm a big fan of SFI and their great work with training qualified logging professionals and training 1,400 to 1,500 loggers every year. And I also see that one of the loggers on the call today is Warren Sikowski. Warren is now the program manager for the Certified Master Logger program. And that is also an outstanding credential that I think will be very attractive to land conservancies who may be reluctant to work with foresters and loggers. So I think that the Master Logger credential is something that will be growing in value to loggers here in Michigan. The Master Logger program doubled in size over the last couple of years, primarily because Arauco came to town and said, we want FSC certified wood. And the Master Logger program was the credential used by one of the FSC chain of custody groups here in Michigan. So Master Loggers, 5 years ago, there was about 35 of them. Now there's 79. And take a look at that map there. You can see that the spatial distribution of certified master loggers is in the northern lower and throughout the upper peninsula, but there are none in my neighborhood down here in the southern lower peninsula. So I would love to see the master logger program continue to grow and continue to serve the forest products industry well. And hopefully we can get a few master loggers down here in the southern lower. So Matt originally asked me to chat with you folks about Forest for Fish and talk a little bit about water quality and best management practices. We're continuing, to promote how good forest management provides abundant clean water and quality fish habitat in Michigan. And loggers doing good work in the woods and implementing those best management practices is incredibly important to providing, that clean water resource that is very important here in Michigan. So we've got some funding from the Forest Service for this little project called Little Bridges of Michigan Counties. That's a silly pun talking about crane mats. I tried to get money for portable bridges, but the Forest Service didn't want to give me money to buy a dozen portable bridges to loan out and track for the next 30 years. So we're giving away crane mats for free. And the Michigan Association of Timbermen has $130,000 to give away crane mats to their members. So if you are a member of the Michigan Association of Timbermen, shoot Michelle Sears an email and let her know you want some crane mats. If you are not a member of the Michigan Association of Timbermen, getting some free crane mats could easily offset the cost of membership over the next couple of years. So please follow up with Timbermen if you need some crane mats for your good work in the woods. For the foresters on the call, one of the fun things I'm working on this year is we've got some funding from the Forest Service for Great Lakes Restoration Initiative, the GLRI, to do some tree planting at 10 school forests around the state. And I think that's going to be a very fun project. And I think that's a successful model that I want to replicate and do again the next couple of years. So I'm looking for 10 more schools that have forests that might need some trees. So if you've ever written a forest management plan for a school forest in your neighborhood and they want some trees, or if you know of a school forest that needs some trees, let's develop a plan this year. And I'm going to be applying for funding. The request for proposals is not out yet. I anticipate that's going to come out in May, but it's a pretty short turnaround with a June application deadline. So I'm looking for more school forests where we can plant trees. And if you're working with school forests, please get a hold of me. I would love to chat more with you about getting a whole bunch of money to plant trees at schools in your neighborhood. One final slide for me on Forest for Fish. One thing that I'm, as I continue to, think about and talk about with, forests and water with other people, I've been learning about the AWWA, the American Water Works Association. And, that's basically an association of municipal water utilities and other types of members, I suppose. But, most of the cities in Michigan get their drinking water from the Great Lakes. I'm here in Lansing and we're a little bit unusual. We get our drinking water from 17 400-foot wells. I'm looking out the window right now and I can see the Grand River. I'm pretty happy we don't get our drinking water from the Grand River. We're downstream from the East Lansing sewage plant here in Lansing. But most cities get their water from the Great Lakes, Grand Rapids, Detroit, Marquette, Sault Ste. Marie, Escanaba. And all of these big utilities have a source water protection plan where they are trying to, protect the source of their drinking water. That's the first step in delivering clean water to their customers, is protect the source, treat it properly, and then, maintain the distribution system. And so starting with good forest management, so in both protected forests, this is where land conservancies might come into play, putting in conservation easements or preserves to protect water quality, but also managing forests well and taking good care of them. So most of you folks are up there in the central Upper Peninsula. So a couple of weeks ago, I discovered that Marquette has a source water protection plan. It's only 18 pages. If you're interested, I'd be happy to send you a PDF of it. But this is one of the images coming from that source water protection plan. This is what the city of Marquette considers to be their, watershed that's surrounding the inlet for, drinking water in Marquette. Now, obviously, Lake Superior is a whole lot bigger than just the little spot where Marquette dips a straw into the lake. So there's a lot more, to the Great Lakes watershed. But this is what Marquette is interested in. And if you take a look at the upper part of that watershed, that's a lot of that land is surrounding the Dead River. And the Dead River plays a prominent part of this Marquette source water protection plan because, I don't know, was it a decade or so ago, a dam failed and sent a big flush of sediment and other pollution right into Lake Superior, right at where Marquette is, withdrawing Lake Superior water for municipal water supply in Marquette. Well, the Dead River campers own about 3,500 acres around that reservoir, and Green Timber Consulting Foresters wrote a very nice forest stewardship plan for them. And most of that land is in the commercial forest program. And so I'm trying to find some ways where we can engage with forest landowners and local land conservancies and the city of Marquette to do a better job of managing and protecting that watershed, to really kind of put into play some of these forest for fish type concepts. And, I don't know if there's any opportunity for funding and different types of projects, but this is something that I'm thinking about. And I hope that you folks up in the Upper Peninsula, as you're working in the woods, I hope you're thinking about water. And I think that city water utilities and local land conservancies could be some new and interesting partners for those of us in the forest products world to connect with, to do a better job taking care of the woods. So I've used up my 15 minutes of fame here. I've got a few more slides that I'm not going to go through today. Hopefully Matt can send you a PDF of this if you've got other questions about other things that we're doing in the forest stewardship program. I'm double booked this afternoon for a couple of other online meetings. So I'm going to jump off by 2 o'clock at the latest. So Matt, I'm all set here. Do you want to take any questions now, or are you ready to transition to your next speaker?
Thanks a lot, Mike. That was some great information. I'll leave it open for about a minute. If anyone wants to unmute and ask a quick question, they could do so now for sure. I don't see anything in the chat box yet, so we'll give it a few seconds to see if anyone chimes in.
I was told that you have to suffer through 9 seconds of dead silence is the proper length of time to wait for a question.
Okay, that was at least 9, maybe 10. Anyone needs Mike Smalligan's contact information can definitely ask me. I can forward that on as well. And also, I do have a copy of this PowerPoint presentation that Mike put on. I'd be happy to forward that to folks as well too. So keep that in mind. Mike's got money for tree planting out there. That's always a good thing too. So follow up with one of us if needed. Otherwise, thank you very much for your information and for your time today, Mike. I really appreciate that. And I think you hit everything perfectly, nail on the head. Okay, next up in the...
Mike?